Hi, and welcome to this AI in C# video on the Microsoft Agent Framework. This is part 2 of the general availability small mini-series I have on the Agent Framework and what we now see is generally available as of the 2nd of April 2026. In part 1, I give a high-level overview for those who haven't tried it out. This is a more nerdy version of where we actually look at what went live, what is the NuGets we have that we can use, and what didn't went live actually as well. So let's jump into that. So in general, there are 28 NuGet packages in Microsoft Agent Framework across various different topics. And it was actually only 6 of them that went live in this general availability. It's the core ones, it's the most important ones, it's like 80-90% of all you do, but it is only a subset. So what went live is the raw packages, the abstraction package with just the interfaces, the core functionality, the OpenAI part, the workflow and its generators, and the package for Microsoft Foundry. These are the core packages that you by far will use most of the time, but there are more things to it. There are 4 packages that are still in release candidates. And the first one, I'm a bit surprised that it's only in, because it actually don't have any dependencies on anything that are unreleased. Because the reason why we only have these 6 packages live is that Microsoft have the philosophy of saying we can't go live with a package if the underlying technology is still in preview or release candidate. And that's the reason why not all 28 packages have gone live. But this one actually don't have anything of those dependencies, so I might think it's a mistake here in the beginning that this has not gone live, because the Anthropic package seems to be dependent on a stable package from Anthropic themselves. And so I'm considering this more or less 1.0, but it is technically a release candidate 6 that they have put out. 2 other packages that are still in release candidate is the workflow declarative, which is a different way of working with the workflows in YAML form. So these are not fully baked, so they are still in release candidate. And then there's an integration into Microsoft Purview, which is still also in early stages, so still in release candidate. Then we have all the preview packages, and those are mostly for the various protocols we have. So there's a protocol called DevUI, which is a sample way of seeing various AI agents, not too important, but it's still in preview, so we can't have the Microsoft Agents version of it out of preview. There's the Google's agent-to-agent protocol that is still in preview, so the package underneath still needs to be done. We have the ADUI, which is the user interface version of how you use agents with streaming responses and things like that, built by someone called CopilotKit. That's also still an evolving protocol, so of course it needs to be in preview. Then there is Microsoft's own Copilot Studio, which the Copilot part is not fully baked, so that needs to be in preview. And the GitHub Copilot, where you can work with the GitHub Copilot SDK, which is in preview, hence being preview here as well. The other packages are mostly the hosting packages, meaning they can be hosted up in ASP.NET Core or hosting in general. And for that reason, since most of them are hosting the various protocols like A2A and ADUI, they are still in preview as well. Similar, the Azure Functions part of hosting is still also in preview. And for that reason, the core package, because it might need to get more from the various packages, still need to be in preview. It doesn't mean that you can't use them and they function well, but again, the rule about saying if anything of the underlying parts are in preview, we still need to be in preview. And what they normally do is, as they mature, as they go into release candidate, Microsoft put them in release candidate, they call them graduation of the various packages, until we eventually get something stable core, then these packages go into stable as well. We have a few utility packages, so the Microsoft Agents Foundry, which have a Microsoft Agents AI Foundry package that are in full release, but the memory part of Microsoft Foundry right now is only in preview, so they still need to be in preview. Similar, there is a collaboration with the Microsoft Azure Functions, which is called Durable Tasks, which is still in preview as well and need to be here. And finally, a small package that are a bit strange that they have is a Cosmos NoSQL dependency, which in my mind shouldn't need to be in preview, but it also relates to something called Microsoft Extensions Vector Data, but right now they have chosen to only put it in preview, as it's a fairly new concept that they built in. So that is staying in preview. The final packages are some packages that are to be archived and not to be used anymore. So there's a package called Microsoft Agents AI Azure AI, which as such didn't really have any problems and could go live. But since the package is actually up here, it's the same package as this one. And you can see this is a brand new package. It's simply just a rename of the branding of this package. So it's branded now as a Foundry agent instead of Azure AI agents. So this package is not to be used anymore. It's not yet marked as obsolete, but I guess it will be very soon. And this one is exactly the same. We have a Microsoft Agents AI Workflow Clarity Foundry, because we now have the rename to that version instead. Finally, we have one package which will probably not be marked as obsolete for quite some time, but it's the Azure AI Persistence, which is the classic agents up in Microsoft Foundry. So Microsoft Foundry went live at build 2025 in a version 1. And then at Ignite in November of 2025, there was a version 2, which is the Microsoft Foundry. Before that, it was called Azure AI. So this package handles classic agents, but you shouldn't really use classic agents anymore. You should move to the more modern agents up in Microsoft Foundry. So I put this here as a legacy support package. It will probably be there around for quite a while, but it's not the modern way of making agents up in the Microsoft Foundry portal anymore. So that is all the 28 NuGet packages. Again, only these 6 are technically general available, but the rest is the last 20% of everything you do. And you need to pick and choose which of them you are okay with not having general available yet. So that's everything from me. See you in the next one.